All right, welcome back to another live. This is the Sunday night live, and if you're just tuning in, we're using Ecamm software. This allows us to go live using our Mac, and right now you're actually seeing a scene that I'm able to pre-set up in the Ecamm software in the back end. So as we go through this video production tool, you'll see how I use it to change the scene, to bring in different cameras, to even do a screen share as well. So a lot of different features with Ecamm, just like this next scene that I have set up. So this is another scene with Ecamm, and you're seeing this white border and box with this shadow effect, which gives it a kind of like a 3D effect, which kind of makes it a little more pop out of the screen. And different video production tools allow you to do different things. And so one thing that Ecamm does, it actually allows me to create this box and border ahead of time. And it allows me to use my, right now I'm using the Sony FX30 as a camera source. It's connected through the USB-C into the CalDigit hub, which then it goes into the Mac Mini. And so this is the camera feed you should be seeing in 4K coming right in through the Sony camera with the 15mm 1.4 lens. And the reason why I'm using that lens is because it has a wide view, so it can capture me in the scene and a little bit of the background. And the camera is only about a hand or arm's length away from me, so it's basically right in front of me. So, but yeah, that's kind of a quick rundown of everything I'm using right now to get onto the camera, onto YouTube, on the screen right in front of you. And you're hearing me through the Rode Pod mic, which is connected to the Rodecaster Pro. So these are the tools that I'm using to get into Ecamm, or audio and visual. And Ecamm is then going into YouTube, where you're watching me right now. So yeah, that is kind of like exactly what I'm using right now. Last live, which was on Friday, I was using the Sony ZV-1. So this is the Sony ZV-1. This is the other camera that I was using to go live. And we did go over the difference between the two. The one you're seeing the picture come out of, the FX30, has a longer usage time because of the internal fan. It doesn't have the ability, or it could overheat, but it really have ran it for more than 3 hours, and the FX30 did not overheat. So the ZV-1 in my hand, try to get it in focus right here. This eye focus, hold on. There we go. Block my face, there you go. Okay, so the Sony ZV-1, it maybe runs about 30-40 minutes, and then it has this, I think it gets kind of hot, or it says that it kind of shuts off. So you can't go longer than maybe 30 minutes with this one if you're using it to go live. But the Sony ZV-1 is good for a lot of other things, and I'll probably make a whole nother video for that, because I've used it to do a lot of other cool things because it's so small. And it does have the U-Rig cage on it, which has this wooden grip, so it makes it easier to hold. And it can attach to different tripods. So yeah, this is the setup that I had for initially when I jumped on, and I needed something, not needed something, but I could use something different. So the FX30 does not do or does do slow motion, the FX30 can go longer for 45 minutes. So that's a couple reasons why these two cameras work really good together, because they complement each other in different ways. So that's a little bit about the devices that we're using to get on here and go live. But I did want to kind of go through these scenes real quick, just to kind of recap the technical side of what I'm using to get on to Ecamm. And so we did have an intro, and I think I skipped the intro and I just jumped right in. And the scene that you saw me in the beginning was the scene that I created called the host scene, and I have it in black and white. And after that, I have this next scene that is using a border along with a shadow in the box and a background. So this is the next scene. This is a screen share scene. And the screen share scene, I actually have a video from YouTube pulled up. And this is the Hawaii Medical Cannabis Day at the Capitol 2024, which happened on June 14th, 2024. So this is actually what I used, what you're seeing me out of, the Sony FX30. And I used this to film the entire event, which was 3 hours and 2 seconds. So as a battery test, I can say that this Sony FX30 can last up to 3 hours. Non-stop recording. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. And that's pretty amazing. And I did use the same lens that you're seeing me out of, because it had a wide view and it could capture more people in the frame. So I'll see if I can go to where there's more people in the frame. Here we go. Here's a good shot. So the Sony FX30 with the 15mm 1.4 lens is able to give me this shot on a tripod. And this is indoors, I believe, using movie mode, and it's probably using intelligent auto. I probably could have changed some of the settings on the back end for lighting and things like that. But yeah, this is the setup that we used. Also used the Rode Wireless Go, and we didn't have enough mics for everybody, so we had to just pass around the mic. And the mic was going into a speaker, and the speaker was going into a Rode Wireless Go receiver microphone, which was then sending that a signal to the FX30 Rode Wireless Go receiver. So yeah, pretty interesting, but we got it done. And using the FX30, that was a big reason why to hold and have this event, that we needed something that would last long enough to capture all the different discussions and speakers. So you're seeing probably a Q&A part of it right now, where all the speakers came up at the end of the presentations that they were giving, and just to kind of speak on some of the questions that came up from the audience, I believe. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, where we're at right now in this one. But I want to show you some other things that we did with the FX30. So this is I guess you can call it the recap. And I think what's really cool about this is that it shows the slow motion abilities of the FX30. And the FX30 does have two ISO options, which are like how much light it takes in. there's a base level of 800 and a second level of 2500. And so right now you're seeing just some clips of the slow motion and how the footage comes out. And this was during Medical Cannabis Day. So, yeah, I think these came out really cool. And this recap came out really good. So that's, some of what Medical Cannabis Day was about. So some background on Medical Cannabis Day. We just saw Brent there, and I'll back this up real quick. So Brent here in the hat. Oh, they both had hats on. Brent here. On the right, he was on the right, of Hawaii Patients Union on the Big Island. He initially hosted the Medical Cannabis Day events on Zoom, and he did a few in person. And it was kind of started off by Dr. Otto, and he got together with Brent, and they brought in a bunch of speakers to do Zoom events the past few years before this one. And so when we had the chance and opportunity to get the representation in the Capitol, and shout out to Rep Kahaloa, who we just saw, who helped us reserve the room so we can host the event for information and education for the public and lawmakers. And this was the first time it was held at the Capitol. So that's why this is a super significant event, because there was no other time that this kind of event was inside the walls of the Capitol, right? Where we're there for information, education, to help provide to people that are interested in learning more about this. And because there's so many misconceptions, and because reefer madness still exists, we need to kind of break the ice and be able to offer better information when people want to come around for it. So yeah, this is, the Hawaii Medical Cannabis Day recap. You can find this online at YouTube if you want to watch it in entirety. And this is just a bunch of slow motion clips that got put together to watch the entire thing. You look for this one, which is about 3 hours long. And it's really cool because you'll see different speakers. Started off by Dr. Otto. So we had Dr. Otto. Where is he? Yeah, we had Dr. Otto here to lead us off. And then we had Brent giving us the history of Medical Cannabis Day, which led into JT from Camel talking about, I believe it was the terminology that we use and how these words affect people's perception on cannabis. And I believe that was followed up by Theo of Camel talking about, I think he was talking about hemp and probably CBD, veterans' rights, medical patient cannabis rights as well. And that brought us into I think it's did we pass somebody here? Let's see. Looks like it's Bobby, who did a lot of research and working with veterans, and looked like it's Mad Chiller giving us more information about solventless concentrates and RSO. Then it looks like we have Calais, farmer, consultant, medical cannabis advocate. And maybe I shouldn't be skipping around like this because it's not buffering, but yeah, that looks like the lineup that we had, and then we had this Q&A after on Dr. Penner, who has the mic right now. He spoke as well. But yeah, really cool event, first time ever held at the Capitol, and this is in Hawaii. In Hawaii right now, we only have medical cannabis dispensaries. There are 8 producers or 8 licensees who have up to 3 retail locations, 2 cultivations, and whatever, all this other stuff. But it's not open to adult use in Hawaii. We are still medical cannabis only. So this is kind of where the information and education is still needed for a lot of people to understand this plant better. So that's why this event was held. So, and then on top of that, we tested out the FX30. So it was a good event to get out more information and to utilize this equipment. But I just wanted to kind of go through what this day was about. You can watch the entire thing here. There's also the recap. We also have this is the news article, or the news coverage on it. So yeah, really good event. Thank you to Rep. Kahaloa for helping us out. We need more people to believe in the people, believe in the plant, what it can do for job creation, what it can do for housing, what it can do for a lot of things that we need in the state. But I think one of the things I talked about on the last live was the island's history with cannabis, and just want to touch on it real quick again, that the word pakalolo has been seen in the Hawaiian newspaper in 1842. So, not really anything new to the islands. When there's a lot of people who say, who don't understand the plant or the people that use it, and they say, we need to keep Hawaii, Hawaii. They don't really understand that this plant has been here longer before than all of us that are walking around today on the island. And I know this live isn't exactly a live to kind of go deep history and all this stuff, but briefly touching on it, this is the precursor for what's to come. We've done these lives for probably about a month now, consistently, and just kind of, going through the process and learning where this information can fit in. I feel like we're gonna, start to transition to having this more laid out in more of a fashion where, people can either engage more and jump in when it is, or that I'll have this video in a different way to provide traction. Maybe it's also a podcast style. So, I'm looking forward to a lot, and that's where, previously we've had these lives on Tuesday and on Friday and Sunday. And so with having these, 3 days a week, I feel like I'm going to transition at least 2, if not 3 of these lives into producing something else. So, these lives have been great to kind of get acquainted with this Ecamm software and this system. But I feel that I'm going to make a transition now into, the next phase of what it is. So, if you've been enjoying or watching this so far, or if you're watching this later and you want to kind of catch up, you're welcome to see the previous lives. that I've done. I've also done the 7-day live challenge with Pat Flynn and Ecamm. And I've done maybe about another 15 lives, starting with like the Tuesday, the Friday, and the Sunday night lives. And I've kept that up for, I think it was about a month now. So after, building up and doing all these lives, the whole point wasn't to just keep going live just kind of randomly. The point was to kind of start to understand the live process and where I can have more impact with this information. And so I understand that this format isn't exactly set up for that type of thing. So that's why we're doing this transition. But, what a long roundabout way just to kind of tell you that, this is the end of these lives. We're going to transition to something else. But if you've stayed here this long, just want to tell you that thank you and I appreciate it. Hopefully you've watched some of the other lives. If not, if you've just seen this one, maybe comment below what you like, what you want to know more about. I'm sure going forward, this is not the end of lives. There'll be lives going forward, but we are going to transition to having more built out themes and more of a podcast style as well, because the idea is to even bring on other people so that we can hear their thoughts. So, and I'll have another, say, special place, but I have another place for these lives or these thoughts going forward, because I am, building the next phase. So, I'm not sure if you guys want to come along and journey along with me on this next phase, but maybe I'll start to put a live together based on what I'm doing for that within that project. So, if you're catching this at some point, drop a comment what you think this direction is going in, or what you suggest maybe. But yeah, I just want to touch on these things that I've been using. Right now we're using Ecamm. I'm able to change scenes. This is one scene I'm able to use in Ecamm. This is a software that works with Mac. I have my Sony FX30 hooked up as a camera source with the 15mm 1.4G lens. This also works with an iPhone. In one of the previous lives, I was using it with my iPhone 8s, I believe. And I was able to bring that in as a camera source. So, really cool. In fact, instead of just telling you, maybe I should show you, right? So let me bring it into the NDI so I can do a screen broadcast. So what does that look like? Well, that looks like this. Well, let's go to, all right, not really in focus, but there it is. All right, so I'm using NDI as a way to broadcast what's on my screen. And if I go to, I can use another free app called Filmic Pro, which gives me a camera source. Because if you use your regular camera, you're going to see all these things on the screen. So with this Filmic Pro, I'm able to give it a tap, and now you're able to just see the camera. So right now, through the iPhone 8s, you're able to see the FX30. So yeah, this is one really neat feature of Ecamm. Here, let me do this. See if this works. Wow, that's kind of trippy. So right now you're seeing me in Ecamm. I'm using the Ecamm software to broadcast into YouTube. So I'm live. I'm also using my old iPhone 8s as a camera source brought in through NDI and using Filmic Pro, 2 free apps. The things you can do with tools and software nowadays. But yeah, this is a test, I guess you can say, with Ecamm and my old iPhone and the Sony FX30 and Rode mic and Rodecaster Pro. But yeah, that's the setup. So here, this is the what I'm seeing right now. But yeah, that's a cool behind the scenes look at Ecamm and using my old iPhone as a camera source. So the cool thing is you can also use it as a screen share, because whatever is on your screen, you can use as a, okay, let's turn the music down so we don't get any copyright. But here, this is a iPhone as a screen share. So yeah, I am screen sharing a clip that I did on IG. It's a reel. And I am screen sharing that into Ecamm by using my iPhone 8 as a camera source through NDI app and just going onto Instagram and showing a reel. So there's multiple ways that you can do a screen share using the Ecamm software. And this is one of them. Pretty cool, in my opinion. But okay, yeah, that was a quick test with Ecamm, Sony FX30, old iPhone, Rode Pod mic, Rodecaster Pro, and shout out to we got the Jungle Cup. Shout out to Andrew. I got to help out at the last Jungle Cup. I got some footage from that event. So, stay tuned for that if you're into that. If you don't know what the Jungle Cup is, I don't want to go into it right now. So stay tuned for more. But thank you guys for stopping in whenever you're stopping in to watch this. I appreciate you if you've got this far. If there's something that you want to know more about, drop it in the comments, send me a DM, send me an email. Looking forward to getting into more of these topics in a deeper form going forward. Look for more behind the scenes things on my Instagram with the same handle. So thank you, and we'll check you on the next one.